What's up, gamer? My name's Waluko, and today I'm going to show you how to get through Act 3 of Path of Exile 1's campaign faster. As a quick disclaimer, this is not meant to be a super optimal guide for speedrunners to clear through the whole campaign in 2 hours flat. It's meant for beginner and intermediate players to share the tricks that I use and the paths that I take in each act to speed things up as someone who takes 5 to 7 hours on average to go from the beginning of the campaign to the end. When you exit Act 2, you'll find yourself in a zone called the City of Sarn. Directly next to the door you came out of, there should be a crafting recipe that lets you add movement speed to boots using the crafting bench in your hideout. Make sure to click on that, then start running toward the top left of the screen. You'll need to run through some burnt out buildings until you find a woman named Clarissa that's been taken prisoner by some soldiers. Kill the soldiers and wait for her to stand up so you can talk to her. When you're done listening or skipping the dialogue, run down the stairs that are behind her and stick to the left side of the zone until you find the door to the Sarn Encampment. This is the town zone for Act 3, but we're not quite ready to go talk to vendors or turn in any quests yet. So run up the long alleyway you walked into and go out to the right when you find the door to the Slums. There are 2 other zones connected to the Slums. One is called the Sewer, and its entrance looks like a locked sewer grate somewhere close to the entrance to the Sarn Encampment. You can't go through it yet, but it's not bad to find where it is early. The other zone is called the Crematorium, and that's where our next objective is. There aren't really any tricks to finding the door to the Crematorium, so you just have to explore this place until you find it. From the entrance, this zone has 2 distinct sides, and both objectives tend to spawn on the same side. One side is to the bottom left, and the other is to the top right. I tend to check the bottom left first, because it usually feels easier to figure out whether or not that's where the objectives are than checking the top right side first. While you're exploring, remember to keep an eye out for the book icon on your minimap to see where the Ascendancy Trial is, and after you found that, continue keeping an eye on the map for a little white X. That X marks the location where the boss is standing. When you find it, go into the room, trigger the dialogue, and fight the boss. She teleports away at half health, so it's not really a satisfying boss to beat, but when she does, click on the corpse that's sitting on the Shocky table near where Piety was standing, and pick up the bracelet that drops. Once you have it, go back to town and talk to Clarissa. She'll give you the key to the sewer grate we found in the slums, then you can talk to Maramoa on the right side of town for a new skill gem as your quest reward. Act 3 is where you can start finding gear with 4-linked sockets, so it's usually worthwhile to talk to Hargan, the gear vendor on the top side of town, and see if his shop has any 4-link gear that would work with your build. Once you're done in town, run up the stairs to the left of Hargan and follow the path back to the slums. If you found the sewer grate on your first time through this place, run back to it and go through. Otherwise, if you didn't find it or the zone reset while you were in the Crematorium, explore the area near the entrance until you find it again, then go through. The sewers is a complicated layout with 2 distinct halves separated by a waypoint and a giant blockage that I'm not going to try and describe. Our main goal is to get to the next zone, but there is an important side quest here to find 3 stashes holding 3 busts that Hargan is looking for. If you collect them all, he'll give you an extra skill point for your passive tree, so it's worth taking the time to find them. 1 bust is always located in the first half of the zone before you find the waypoint, and the other 2 are in the second half. The waypoint is always to the top right of the entrance, so make sure you explore the top left side until you find the quest item, then move toward the top right. Once you find the waypoint, the second stash is usually not too much further, so just walk a couple steps past it and keep your eyes on the minimap to see if a little exclamation mark pops up anywhere. In most layouts, the 3rd stash will spawn further to the bottom right side of this section, but not always. While I'm passing through here, I always check the bottom right side first before going towards the exit in the top left, just to make sure I don't miss it. If you run around the bottom right and you don't find it, just start running to the top left and you should see the stash as well as the exit to the next zone before too long. The next zone is called the Marketplace, and there's not really a whole lot to do here. There is an objective for a side quest called A Swig of Hope, but the reward for that quest is not worth the time it takes to do it, so we can safely ignore the whole thing. From the entrance, the way forward will always be somewhere on the top left side of the zone. If you see a big orange alleyway filled with statues that come to life and attack you as you walk by, you'll know you're going the right way. Once you get through the alley, you'll find a waypoint and a new zone called the Catacombs. There's only one thing in the Catacombs, and unfortunately it's the second Ascendancy Trial of Act 3, so we can't skip the place. Go inside and wander around the dark passageways until you find the book that marks the entrance to the trial. One thing that makes this zone worse is that there's some ancient graffiti that is also marked with the little book icon, so you may find that before the trial, but just keep exploring and you'll find it eventually. Once the trial is done, go back to town, talk to Hargan to turn in the busts we found from the sewers, take your skill point reward, then use the waypoint to return to the marketplace. From the waypoint, it's best to run to the right until you find the very edge of the zone, then follow along that wall until you find the exit. When you do find it, go through to reach the Battlefront. In the Battlefront, run to the top left of the zone and use your travel skills to jump over any waterways that block your path until you find a raised walkway with a waypoint on it. From the waypoint, follow the walkway toward the bottom left until you find a Blackguard chest. Click that, pick up the ribbon spool quest item that it drops, then go down the stairs on the top left side of the walkway and keep going that way until you find the door to the docks. There are 2 goals in the docks. The first is to find a fiery supply container and click on it to get the thaumatic sulfite that it drops. The other goal in this place is to grind a bit of XP. If you've been skipping most of the monsters as you run, chances are that you're probably a couple levels behind the level of the zone by this point. The docks has lots of rare and magic monsters relatively close together, so it's a great place to get yourself caught up on the XP that you're missing. Usually I'm about level 24 or 25 when I reach this place. The zone is level 29, and I tend to farm in here until I reach somewhere around level 28 to 30. To do that, you'll probably have to reset the zone and clear through it at least 2 or 3 times. In case you don't know how to manually reset a zone, you need to find an entrance to that zone, either a door or a waypoint, then go through it while holding the control button if you're on PC, or if you're on console, press the triangle button for PlayStation or the Y button for Xbox, and a window will open up that lets you select to enter either an existing instance or a totally new one. Entering a new one will give you an unexplored layout with all of the monsters reset for you to clear again. In this zone, you can find a waypoint near a quest NPC named Fairgraves. He's the same pirate we fought during the side quest in Act 1, but his quest in this act doesn't have a good reward, so you can safely ignore him. If you find that waypoint while you're farming, you can use it to reset the zone and refresh all the enemies to go through them again for more XP. If you find your way back to the entrance while you're farming, just go through it into the Battlefront. Then, after you load in, click on the door to go back into the docks with the correct keybind based on your platform, and do the same thing over again. Whichever way you reset things, keep doing that until you reach somewhere around level 28 to 30 if you weren't there already. Then, once you've reached that level and grabbed the thaumatic sulfite from the supply container, you're free to move on from this place. After everything's done in the docks, either use the waypoint in that zone, or go back to town and use the waypoint there to teleport back to the Battlefront. From the waypoint, go towards the top right section of the zone, and if you go far enough, you'll either find a wall or a door. If you find the door, go through it immediately, and if you find a wall, follow it towards the top left until you spot the door in the next wall over. This will take you to level 1 of the Solaris Temple. The only goal here is to get through the zone and reach Solaris Temple level 2. There's a waypoint about halfway through, and there are a couple dead ends here and there, but there aren't really any tricks to navigating this place. Just run around until you find the stairs. Solaris Temple level 2 is pretty much the same as level 1, but at the end of this zone, you'll find a quest NPC named Diala. Talk to her to give her the stuff we collected from the Battlefront and the docks. Take the amulet and the Infernal Talc quest item that she gives as a quest reward, then use the waypoint in front of her to teleport back to the sewers. From the waypoint in the sewers, go over to the big indescribable blockage that we ran past during our first time through here, and click on it to burn it away with the Infernal Talc. Go through the newly opened pathway and you'll reach the Ebony Barracks. Once you're outside, go up the stairs to activate the waypoint, then keep going up the stairs to reach the next objective. When you get close to the top of the zone, you'll see a big tent with a bunch of dudes standing in front of it. The main dude, named General Gravicius, will start saying all kinds of toxic stuff, and then eventually attack you. Killing Gravicius is the main objective for a quest called Sever the Right Hand. Completing this quest unlocks many powerful skill gems for each class, so depending on what build you're playing, this may be the quest that unlocks your main ability or a useful secondary ability. If you know for a fact that you don't need any of the gems that this quest unlocks, you don't actually need to kill Gravicius to progress the story, so you can just run past him while he's yapping. Whatever you decide to do, when you're done with the boss, keep running towards the top left until you reach the wall on that side of the zone. If you see a door somewhere nearby on that wall, go through it. Otherwise, follow that wall toward the top right until you reach a different wall where you should be able to find the door instead. Wherever you find it, this door will lead you into Lunaris Temple level 1. This zone has one of the simplest tricks for navigating, but unfortunately it's only useful at the very beginning. All you have to do is follow the magic carpet. Run inside and keep following the carpet until you get to a wide open room with a bunch of benches all over the place. Whichever side the carpet points toward is the way to go. Once you go through the door to the next room, you're on your own. Just run around and explore until you find your way to a waypoint and the stairs for Lunaris Temple level 2, then go down. This zone can be pretty tricky to navigate, but your goal here is to go down the stairs at the beginning and run around until you find a different staircase going up. Most of the time, I feel like I have more success checking the bottom left side of the zone first, but the correct path can really be anywhere. Once you find the first set of stairs, go up and run around until you find some more upstairs. Once you find the second set of upstairs, do the same thing until you find a third set of upstairs. At the top of the third set of stairs, the zone changes from the skinny walkways to a bunch of cages. Navigate through these cages until you find one more, much larger set of upstairs with a portal at the top. While you're exploring, if you see these big fancy golden doors, they're usually a sign that you're going the right way. Go through the portal and you'll find Piety standing in a big open room. When she gets done monologuing, fight her and take the tower key that she drops when she dies. Before you leave the zone, run to the top left side of the room and grab the recipe for your crafting bench from the interactable object. When you have it, go back to town and talk to this guy named Grigor to the left of Clarissa for a skill point. Also, if you killed Gravicius, go talk to Maramoa to get the skill gem for your quest reward. Once that's all done, use the waypoint in town to go back to the Ebony Barracks. From the waypoint, run toward the top right edge of the zone until you find the door to the Imperial Gardens. Go inside and follow the road wherever it leads until you find a waypoint. From there, continue following the road toward the top left side of the zone. Eventually, you'll find the door to a place called the Library. The library has a side quest in it that may be important depending on your build, but we have something else to take care of before we talk about that. From the door to the library, run toward the top right side of the zone until you hit a wall. When you reach that wall, follow it all the way around the zone until you reach the last Ascendancy Trial of Act 3. This also happens to be the final trial you need to complete before you unlock the first difficulty of the Lord's Labyrinth, which allows you to unlock your Ascendancy class. Once you complete the trial, go back to town, run up the stairs, click on the big green statue, and go through the portal that opens up. This will take you to a place called the Aspirant's Plaza. Go up the stairs, click on the Labyrinth activation device, select the first difficulty, and try to get through it. The Labyrinth is a whole can of worms that would be too much to explain fully in this video, but the goal is to run through all the zones and beat this boss named Zaro 3 times without dying or leaving the zone for any other reason. When you do that, you get a big treasure room with chests, a thing that lets you modify your gems in random ways, and the Altar of Ascendancy, which lets you choose or upgrade your Ascendancy class. Before you leave, make absolutely sure you don't forget to choose your class and get your Ascendancy points for it, because if you leave without completing that step, you'll have to redo the whole labyrinth to get back here. When you're done in the treasure room, use the green portal in the top left side of the room to go back to the Act 3 town. After that, use the waypoint in town to go back to the Imperial Gardens. Now it's time to talk about the library. Like I said originally, there is a very important side quest in that zone called a Fixture of Fate. The reward for this side quest is access to a shop that sells every gem that's been unlockable by every class up to this point in the campaign. It's only worth taking the time to do this quest if you have a specific skill gem that you really want to use very early on, but your class doesn't get access to it from other quests. Like if a witch character really wanted to use Leap Slam to help get through the campaign zones faster, she would have to complete the Fixture of Fate quest and buy the gem from the quest NPC, a ghost named Siosa. There's a much faster quest in Act 6 that unlocks a shop with almost every gem in the entire game. So if you really don't mind waiting a little bit longer to get whatever gems you're looking for, it's much faster to skip this quest and wait until Act 6. That said, since there are some times where you really do need to do this quest, I'll take the time to explain it before we move on to the final zone of Act 3. So, to complete Fixture of Fate, run from the waypoint in the Imperial Gardens to the library and go in. The first thing you need to do is run around until you find Siosa, the quest NPC. You don't need to talk to him, but he's standing next to a waypoint and it's very convenient to have that unlocked. Once you grab the waypoint, run through the door that's behind Siosa and start exploring the main area of this zone. The thing you're looking for is an interactable loose candle stuck on the side of some of the bookcases. Click on the candle and it'll open a secret passage to a place called the Catacombs. The Catacombs is a big maze full of books where you need to find 4 golden pages that are scattered throughout the zone. They'll be marked with exclamation marks on your minimap when you get close, so make sure you keep an eye on that as you navigate to make things easier. Once you've found all 4 pages, go back to town and use the waypoint to teleport back to the library so you can talk to Siosa. Once you give him the pages, you'll have full access to his shop so you can buy whatever you're looking for. Once that's done, use the waypoint to go back to the Imperial Gardens. From the waypoint in the Imperial Gardens, run towards the right side of the zone and look around until you find some big stairs leading to a much bigger door. If you happen to see a second exclamation mark in this zone while you're exploring, it's for the quest that Fairgraves wanted you to do back in the docks, so you can just ignore it. Click on the giant door to use the tower key you got from Piety and make your way into the last zone of Act 3, the Sceptre of God. This zone is a lot like the Val Pyramid zone from the end of Act 2. We have to go through a bunch of rooms, looking for a bunch of stairways to go further and further up. The only difference is that the rooms don't get smaller as we go up in the Sceptre of God. Unfortunately, there aren't any tricks to navigating the rooms, you just have to keep running until you find each staircase. The third staircase you find will lead you to a new zone called the Upper Sceptre of God. Unfortunately, it's more of the same for 3 more rooms. At the end of the third room, instead of a staircase, you'll find a door to the tower rooftop, which is the boss room for Dominus, the final boss of Act 3. Dominus has 4 phases and a lot of different mechanics, but the most important thing to know about is in his final phase. He ends up turning into this giant monstrosity thing and all the rain around the tower turns red. When he spawns, he also summons this big golden bubble. If you leave that bubble, the rain will inflict a debuff on you called Corrupted Blood, which is a stackable and very painful damage over time effect. Getting hit by his big arm swipes in this phase will also inflict you with stacks of that same debuff, so make sure you stay in the bubble and try to avoid getting hit as much as possible during this phase. Once he's dead, Diala will show up. You can talk to her or ignore her, but when you're done here, go out the door to the aqueduct on the top right side of the room to enter Act 4. It was a long one, but that's the entire act and those are the paths that I take. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments or in my chat while I'm live both here and on Twitch. If you found this guide helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more like it. If you want to see similar guides for the rest of the acts, I'll put a playlist in the pinned comment and the description down below. Lastly, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video.